Welcome to the State of the DCEU. I am Durbin, and joining me is Cody Leach. What is up, Cody?
What's up, guys? Good to be back. It's been a while.
It has been a while, and I'm super excited to have you back on Durbania again, because it's been too long since you've even been here on my channel.
Yes, absolutely. It feels like since the last DCEU, which was before Joker, which is too long.
Oh my gosh, which means we really have so much stuff to go over, so we should definitely dive into it. But before we do, for those who haven't tuned in a while, where can we find you?
You can find me here on YouTube. You can either search my name, Cody Leach, and I should be the first one to pop up, or you can do youtube.com/Cody Leach channel. And I'm sure Durbin might even have a link down below. So you can use any of those three convenient ways to find me. A lot of movie reviews, especially if you're a horror fan. I got a big horror focus on my channel, but I do a lot of comic book stuff. Obviously, I'm here chatting with Durbin about the DCEU. So should be plenty for your liking over there. Come check it out.
Yes, definitely check out Cody Leach's channel and definitely subscribe. It is an epic channel. So I figured, brief overview in this state of the DCEU. Cody Leach and I are going to give a brief spoiler talk review for Birds of Prey, just kind of our general thoughts. Then we're going to dive into the fact that this was not a soft reboot, but a direct sequel. And then, of course, we got to go into our wild speculations of the fact that this was not a soft reboot. What does that mean for what's coming in the DCEU with Matt Reeves, the Batman, and with, Wonder Woman 84? What is in store for us? So, Cody Leach, let's start with you. What were some of your general thoughts for Birds of Prey?
It was fun. This was probably the least excited that I've been for a DC movie in a long time.
Yes.
The idea from the beginning never really caught my interest. It was Gotham City Sirens a few years ago, and then that never came of anything. Then it was going to be a Harley Quinn movie, then it was going to be a Harley Quinn and Joker movie, and now it's going to be Harley Quinn and Birds of Prey, and then it was just Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn. So I didn't have any idea what to make of this film. The trailers did not sell me. So I walked into it just, we'll see. And it was fun. It was basically, it felt like them trying to have the Deadpool of the DCEU. They kind of had that energy about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was entertaining. It had some good, funny stuff in there. Margot Robbie's great as Harley Quinn. She's just as good, if not better, than she was in Suicide Squad. It's literally her movie. This movie would not exist without her. The action scenes were really good. I like the way that the storytelling was, where they would start a story and they'd be like, oh, wait, I got to catch you up. And then it would reverse, kind of like Guy Ritchie style, and tell certain backstories or, previously on 2 weeks ago. I liked the villain in Black Mask. I wasn't as blown away as it seems everybody else was, but he was good enough for the movie. And it was just a good time. A little light on story. Not a whole lot there. The Joker breaks up with Harley. She's a little, flabbergasted about it. But, a woman scorned the movie is basically what it is. I think that even though this isn't the movie's fault, I think that calling it Birds of Prey was a mistake. And the marketing was a mistake, because this is absolutely 100% Harley Quinn, the movie, with a backdoor pilot for Birds of Prey in the tail end of it. So this is not a Birds of Prey film. And I think that hurt them. And I think it's going to hurt them box office wise, where if it was just Harley Quinn, the movie, I think that we'd be seeing some bigger numbers right now. But we may get some surprises. There's been some box office surprises before. But overall, it was a fun movie.
You made a good point there, because when I did my review, one of the things that I said is it felt kind of short. And I think now that you've pointed that out, it's because the film is called Birds of Prey. And so as you're building up to the Birds of Prey, you finally have them, and then the movie's over. Yeah. And so it's like all this build up, one boss fight that isn't super long, end of movie. And so I think that's kind of a negative for me. Not that that's the worst negative you could put out there, because like you said, I like the overall tone of the movie. I like that the movie was comfortable in its own skin. It kind of knew what it was and had fun with itself. So it wasn't anything taking itself too seriously. But you kind of helped put a good point on something I was talking about in my review, where it felt like it was just kind of short. Because seriously, you spend this whole movie meeting the Birds of Prey, building up to them. Here they all are together, end of movie.
Yep. Yeah, it really felt like it was Harley Quinn's movie for most of it. It was her telling the story. The movie's editing style kind of almost feels like her thought process, almost like the movie's in her head, which totally fits, and it's a fun way to do a movie. And she's the focus of it, story-wise and visual-wise, for at least 3/4 of it. You get like a little flashback backstory for this character who's going to end up being in Birds of Prey, or you got the Huntress who's kind of woven in and out of the movie here and there until like the last 20 minutes. Cassandra Cain gets put in there, and then you get a version of the Black Canary. So it's a movie about Harley Quinn that has these side characters, and then it feels like at the end it's like, wasn't that cool? Do you guys want to see a real Birds of Prey movie? Credits.
Yeah, that's what I felt too. Especially when you have Black Canary and you're just waiting for the canary call. Because, I mean, that's her signature and that's her main power. So you're waiting this whole movie for that to finally come out and see her for the metahuman that she is. And you get it once, the end. Yeah.
And it was kind of out of nowhere, too, because it felt like it was a very grounded movie without superheroes and superpowers. It was just, chicks that can fight, and then all of a sudden she screams, and it's like this echolocation thing, and it was like, where did that come from? Yes. So I was expecting it because I know who Black Canary is, but it felt very out of place within the movie for me, because there's not a metahuman in sight for the entire film until that one scene.
It would have made more sense if they actually went the route Arrow did in its first 2 seasons before that show went off the rails. Because Black Canary had like a collar. And so when she screamed, it's like that collar was like a technology and it picked up on it and sent out that sonic blast. And you're right, like the movie was pretty darn grounded. It's pretty clear where it takes place. It's inside the DC universe. It's a sequel to Suicide Squad where they defeated a witch. But they definitely learned their weird lesson from that movie and made this one more grounded, more down to earth. And then all of a sudden, echolocation canary call at the very end. It's like, what? They're still metahumans.
Exactly. Yeah, and I liked, the one of the biggest praises that I kept hearing before I got a chance to see this, because I didn't get a chance to see it till late last night, was everybody seemed to be really liking Black Mask and Ewan McGregor's performance as him. And I thought he was pretty good. But I don't know if I'm just on an island with that. He didn't stand out all that much to me. I love Ewan McGregor as an actor, especially after Dr. Sleep. I'm kind of on a high for that guy right now. And Black Mask was a very cool character, but to me, he was just kind of like the jerk. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a jerk mob guy that we're supposed to hate. We're following villains, but we're supposed to hate this guy just a little bit more. And that's kind of what it was. He was just a guy who was like, all right, I'm in charge. See, I'm going to take over the city.
I think what I liked about him is he was pretty crazy and pretty sadistic. And it looked like he just liked being that way. And for him, that was fun. And it looked like Ewan McGregor was having a little too much fun playing that role. So I think for me, when I was watching him as the villain, that's kind of the vibe I got out of it. The thing I wish we got more Black Mask. He only puts on that skull one time, and that's it. And then they blow him up into several pieces at the end, so we're never ever going to see more now. And so it's just like I felt like they started with something great with him, and now we can't grow it or take it anywhere else. And if this movie maybe just tacked on 10 more minutes, we could have got 10 more minutes of Ewan McGregor and maybe seen a little bit more of just how crazy he is. And then you had Zsasz, which I don't know too much about Zsasz, except from the Batman Arkham video games, that he is a crazy serial killer, and he was pretty crazy in that video game. So it was kind of cool to have Black Mask and, like, Zsasz together.
It was cool. With what we're going to get into in a little bit later, I'm still a little bit confused about, are we just throwing in these recognizable villains to utilize them in one movie and be done with them, or are we trying to build a universe? Because, like you said, I mean, the 2 villains that are prominent Batman villains in this are now dead.
Yeah.
So we're never going to see them again. If the Batman movie does end up taking place somewhat in this universe, obviously we're not going to have Black Mask or Victor Zsasz running around fighting Battinson. So that's where I get a little bit confused with it, and it was a little bit, even though it was funny for a moment seeing him, get blown into 80 pieces. When he got blown up, I was like, oh, well, that's it with him then. Okay.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Victor Zsasz, I mean, he's kind of used as like a henchman in this. If you didn't know Batman lore, you wouldn't even think that this guy was a character outside of this movie, because he really doesn't do a whole lot aside from, hold the knife that does all of the Black Mask bidding. But he's a pretty popular villain, though. So I think you could have done more with him. But they definitely were trying to keep the focus on the anti-hero villains, if that makes sense. And the villains kind of just seemed like they were here to propel the story along. Yeah. We need a diamond. We got to find this chick who's got the diamond. And I'm a complete jerk, so hate me.
It's kind of like Black Mask represented the Joker in this movie, since we weren't going to get Jared Leto in this. He kind of represented the Joker because he was trying to get Harley to define her identity by him and, like, work for him and be with him the way she was with the Joker. So it kind of felt like he was trying to possess her, and so his sole existence was another fight for Harley Quinn's independence, which, it's not bad, but kind of like you said, though, these are major Batman villains. So here we are focusing on anti-heroes anyway, and now here he is just a little bit worse, and then we blow him up, so now we can't utilize him for anything else. But, I mean, I guess since we don't have Ben Affleck, I mean, what on earth is the future of that anyway? So I guess it didn't matter that we blew him up. Well, now that we've mentioned the future, let's dive into the future here a little bit, and kind of with this little caveat that this was a direct sequel. They didn't soft reboot a darn thing. They mentioned Suicide Squad a little Easter eggs here and there, but it was enough that you know this is a direct sequel to Suicide Squad, which was a direct sequel to Batman vs. Superman. It is fitting firmly in the DCEU that has already been released. So I was curious to see this, and now I'm curious to see Wonder Woman 84, because I've been wondering, what route is DC gonna go? Like, are they trying to ignore Justice League and Batman vs. Superman and maybe soft reboot and kind of retcon those? But this movie did not do that. So if this movie did not do that, what do you think about Wonder Woman 84?
I have a feeling for a while we're just going to get kind of the Aquaman route where they just mention it in passing. You know, they mention Justice League or an event in Batman v Superman in passing, a little throwaway line that fans will latch onto, you could probably blink and miss, and they're just going to focus on singular stories for a while. It seems like that's their game plan. They've been doing it since Aquaman. So, I mean, you get Wonder Woman that really it kind of stands on its own too, so you could even say since Wonder Woman, but Aquaman, and then you have Shazam that's totally, and it could be his own thing, but just kind of mentions Superman, mentions Batman. We got Birds of Prey now doing the same thing, so I feel like they're going to do that. The Batman, to me, is going to be the big kind of defining point of, is this one universe, or is this going to be a lot of standalone stories that just kind of tease a universe that was, and maybe in the future they'll revisit it? Is the Batman going to have its own Gotham universe, and that's kind of where they're focusing things? They don't really have to tie it to the DCEU. They have plenty of characters to do their own thing with it. I honestly don't know, but I feel like by the time the Batman comes out, that's when we're going to get our answer with that. But it seems like they're going to do standalone stories, focus on making each movie its best movie, and not focus on tying into 80 other things. And then once they've got that under their belt for a few more years, then you'll probably start to see hints of, you know, Crisis on Infinite Earths, or a redo of Justice League, or some other type of team-up thing. They'll start kind of dipping their toes back into it.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because you're saying the Batman is going to be the defining point, which I kind of agree with you. But before that, I've been saying Wonder Woman 84 is going to be the movie that kind of defines for me which direction they're going for, soft reboot or not. But after seeing Birds of Prey, I feel like, oh, I get why they picked 1984. So that they could just take Wonder Woman and put her on her own little island. So it could relate, but it could also just be its own solo thing altogether because it's in the 80s. And now we don't even have to mention Batman vs. Superman or Justice League, or drop any of those Easter eggs. But then at the same time, they can't really ever go super public in this movie because she was dormant the entire time until Batman vs. Superman. So they have to pay a little bit of attention to it. Matt Reeves, the Batman, is going to be the big one because, you know, for a while it was talked about, since this is the 90s, it must be a prequel to Ben Affleck's. But then with their casting choices for, like, Commissioner Gordon, it's like, yeah, that's definitely not the same dude at all. So,
exactly.
Are you as hyped for this movie as other people seem to be?
I mean, we've been talking about the Batman for what, like 3-4 years now. So I mean, I'm kind of burnt out on the hype of it for a little bit, just because there's not really anything solid to look at yet. I mean, we can see some set photos, you can see the casting. I think that they've certainly taken their time with it, so that gives me confidence that they're going to do it right. Matt Reeves is an awesome director. I mean, I've loved both of his Planet of the Apes films. They've got really good actors coming in, whether you've only seen Twilight or not. Robert Pattinson's a really good actor. So I'm curious what he's going to do. Until I start seeing trailers or start seeing more solid things from the movie, what exactly it's doing, what is the direction, everything like that, then I'll start to get hyped. Right now, I'm letting the Batman do its thing, you know what I mean? Because there was so many times it was like, is Batman, or is Ben Affleck in? Is he out? Is he directing? Is he not? Is it canceled? Is it this? And it was like every week was a new report for like a year, it felt like. So now I'm just kind of like, okay, Make the movie. Talk to me when you're done.
Yes, I don't want to hear any more behind-the-scenes stuff. Put the movie out. Let us determine then if this movie is good or not.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting because I feel like DC is diving in all this Elseworld stuff. You got Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, which really is its total own thing and has nothing to do with anything. And I kind of like that. And I hope they don't do a sequel because leave that one alone. It's good as it is. Leave it alone. I'm looking forward to the Batman. Like, you know, the fact that it's in the 90s and it's a totally different cast kind of makes it its own thing. So I'm very curious, especially if they could give it kind of that feel that Joker had. Like, Joker kind of had that not Deadpool, but Wolverine type feel, you know, that deep dive into this. That'd be kind of cool if we do that with the Batman. And I trust Matt Reeves, so no matter what, I think that's going to be really, really good. But I'm curious now. Did you watch the Crisis on Infinite Earths event on the CW?
I have not watched any of the shows on CW since Arrow season 4.
Good for you.
I jumped off of that ship as soon as I started to see it taking on water, and I've heard you and Sean talk about its highs and lows since then, and I'm like, woo! Thank God I got out when I did.
Well, I feel bad for Mr. Sean Chandler because he stuck around. Like, I mean, he followed Arrow all the way to the end, and I'm like, oh, gosh, you poor guy. I mean, I know you do this for all your ranking videos so you can rank all the seasons, but, oh, dear goodness, that's just too much effort to stay invested with that show. But I did tune in for Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I know you. So since you didn't watch it, I'm sure though you heard about this: Ezra Miller appearing on Crisis on Infinite Earths. Did you happen to see that?
I did. I didn't watch the clip to see exactly what happened, but I saw it on my Facebook feed the next day. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, what does this mean?" I'm like, "I don't care," and I kept scrolling.
Yeah, well, here's what I said it meant. It was just a cute cameo, and it's going to go nowhere on either show. And of course, people fought me on that, but I'm like, no, the DCEU is not going to acknowledge the Arrowverse, and the Arrowverse is not going to go forward. This was just a fun little thing. But then there was some part of me that just it got me thinking, because what we've seen of DC is how reactionary they are. I mean, crazy reactionary. And I think Crisis on Infinite Earths did pretty good for them. And there's been tell that they've entered into negotiations for the release of the Snyder Cut. Now, that's nothing but rumors that has been going on for so many years, so I'm not going to sit here and preach that that's fact. But something that has me curious, and I'd be very curious to get your thoughts on this. We got Justice League, which was a whole mess of a movie, but tried to take things the brighter route. We have Birds of Prey that's not going the brighter route, that is kind of following that Suicide Squad route. And now we got the 90s, the Batman movie, like taking place somewhere in the 90s and all these things. What do you think are the chances that DC's being a little reactionary again? And maybe we might be building a different kind of cinematic universe. Like maybe if we get the Snyder Cut, we could run parallel darker DC movies with the brighter movies.
I don't think if we ever do get a Snyder Cut, I don't think that they're going to use that as a story jump-off point or anything like that, because they can't guarantee how many people are actually going to watch it. There's a very loud amount of people, especially in our space on the internet, where everybody seems like wants to see Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Until they actually release it, we won't know exactly how many of those people are. There's going to be a ton of people that have no idea what the hell the Snyder Cut is. It could be out for 2 years, and they're like, I've already seen Justice League. What is this? I don't think they're going to be confident enough that the amount of moviegoers are going to watch the Snyder Cut enough to be familiarized with, if they do movies, that you have to watch the Snyder Cut first to understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that it feels like to me they're just kind of doing their own thing. They're making standalone movies. They took a risk with Joker. It's paying off very well. So they're taking risks. They're being a little bit more confident in themselves. They've had a new a head over there at Warner Brothers doing the DC stuff since, I believe, Aquaman. So it seems like it's under a lot better management now, and I think that they're just trying to get, feel it out, see what they can do. They do the Joker, okay, that succeeded. We can do standalone stuff, and people are going to see it. There's not going to be confusion about why Jared Leto's not in this. Right. Now we can do other stuff with that. Now they're doing the Birds of Prey thing. Can we do an R-rated movie? I don't think it's going to do very financially well, so hopefully they don't learn the wrong lessons with it. But okay, if it makes a good enough money, okay, we can do little standalone stories and make them R-rated, and it still fits in this universe. So now we have that avenue we can go in. And then they're going to do Wonder Woman, that's a proven success. Then they'll do the Batman. Okay, if this succeeds, Now we can do a whole Bruce Wayne universe, and we don't have to worry about tying things in, because we can do, we can do Nightcrawler. We can do Nightwing. Is it Nightwing?
Yeah,
I got Nightcrawler in my head. Okay,
Yeah,
I was gonna say Nighthawk.
Nightwing. Yeah,
I was gonna say Nighthawk. I'm like, this is not the right words. What's going on here? So
you got Nightwing all the time.
Yeah, you got Nightwing. We could do a Red Hood movie. We can tell, they could do so many things just in the Batman universe. And then eventually they're like, okay, it's been long enough. Maybe we can do a Justice League. Maybe we can do some universe stuff. So it just kind of feels like, we used to always compare DC and Marvel. Marvel is very set, very templated, very planned out. They've been very successful with it. Everything they're always pretty good at their worst. And they're great when they're great. But when you walk into a Marvel movie, for the most part, about 70% of it, you know what you're getting.
Yes.
DC seems to be taking more risks now to where you don't know what you're getting exactly. I didn't know what I was going to get when I walked into Joker. I didn't know what I was going to get when I walked into Birds of Prey. And if they eventually go into doing more universe stuff, they could have parallel universes, all this crazy stuff that is not going on in Marvel, and they can do their own separate thing and don't have to be worried about that comparison anymore.
Yeah. Well, Marvel might now be doing all this parallel universe stuff. I mean, we got WandaVision coming out on Disney Plus, which is definitely going to deep dive into parallel universes, and then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So Marvel is really about to dive into that pretty heavily, so poor DC can't seem to get a break in that arena. But I don't know. I like that they're doing these solo things. I like their focus on just singular movies, not super concerned with building a much bigger universe. But like you said, I think Wonder Woman 1984 and The Batman, I think these two movies is really going to reveal to us the true state of the DCEU. But honestly, I think we got it. It's going to be single movies for who knows how much longer.
Exactly. Now, one thing that we didn't talk about that I'm curious, what did you think about the R rating, going for R rating in Birds of Prey? Do you feel like it fit, or do you feel like it could have been PG-13 and it wouldn't have mattered?
The only reason I figured, I didn't go in knowing the rating. How dumb is that? And the only reason I went, oh, this must be R-rated is because all the F-bombs that they dropped. Otherwise, I think it could have been fine either way. It didn't do anything that was spectacular that made it worth that R rating. So I don't know. It was fine, but it could have been PG-13 or R, and it probably would have had the exact same effect for me.
To me, I almost wish it wasn't rated R, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
It's going to sound really strange coming from me, the guy that watches all the horror films. But this is, when I was watching the movie, I heard they were doing rated R. I'm like, okay, I wonder what they're going to do with this. Is it going to be just gory, or is it going to be a lot more language, or is it going to show nudity all over the place? What are they going to do with this? What's going to be different? And you walk in, and it's a lot of F-bombs, and then you get the scene where they're cutting faces off that was a little graphic, and that's where I was like, oh, this is what they're going to do with the rated R. That might be cool. Show just a really demented villain in black mask. And then that's about as demented as it got.
Yeah.
So really it was just throwing F-bombs in. And there's even scenes in the trailer where they swap out a lesser cuss word for the F word in the actual cut of the movie. So it's almost like they filmed two cuts. But like you said, and the fact that they were definitely going for the Deadpool tone, I didn't feel like this movie needed an R rating the way that Deadpool needs it. I don't want to see a PG-13 Deadpool. I just don't think it'll work. It'll feel neutered the entire time.
Yep.
This movie, it almost felt forced that it was rated R. And it's to the point where this is my greater concern for it. So if we get further movies with Harley Quinn and it's PG-13, is that suddenly going to feel weird now that we've seen the rated R?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we ever get a Batman movie that has this Harley Quinn in it, and we have the Joker, and the demented Joker, the one that everybody in Gotham's afraid of, and he's not going anywhere near as far as Black Mask went in Birds of Prey, is that going to feel weird now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, it was almost like they kicked open a door that they shouldn't have. I love the fact that they took the risk on an R-rated movie, but to me, for this one, it almost felt like it could have done without it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I don't feel like a door was kicked open at all, because like you said, they could have made this PG-13, and I would have been none the wiser. Seriously, I didn't know this was going to be R-rated. I didn't see that in the promotion, because I just didn't care. So I wasn't paying that much attention to the trailers and the promotion and marketing and all of that. So when I went in, the only tip-off that I had that it was R-rated was the extraordinary F-bombs, because even when you had Black Mask cutting off their faces, And that one scene in the beginning, yeah, that was a little bit gruesome, but, seemed worse.
Yeah.
And so...
A lot.
So my biggest tip-off was all the F-bombs that they dropped. It's like, well, that many, this must be R-rated. And
yeah,
so,
there's been 8 in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but when I got home and did my review, guess what I totally forgot about? The R rating all over again, and I forgot about it until you brought it up to ask me about it. So that's how little that even mattered to me. Like, it just, like you said, it's not Deadpool, where that's his identity and it needs to be R-rated. Or like Wolverine. Like, if you want to give the true character of a solo Wolverine movie, make that thing R-rated. This was, you didn't have to. You could have gone either way with it, and I don't feel like they went all in. So they were going for R-rated, but they didn't go all in and actually make it worth it.
Yeah. That's pretty much where I'm at with it. So that's something. I haven't filmed my review yet, but I'm curious what the masses are going to say once I say that in my review, because that's going to sound very strange coming from me, because I'm usually like, yeah, make it R, throw some F-bombs in there, you know, show some nudity, show some blood, cut his head off. I don't care. Let's see what it can do. And in this movie, I'm kind of like, I don't think you needed that.
No, like it didn't add anything to it. It didn't take away that they threw in the extra F-bombs, but it certainly, this movie is not defined by that even remotely. So if in my opinion, if that was their biggest risk and that's really what they were going for and testing the waters, that was a dumb way to test the waters, because you didn't go all in with that. So that's just kind of where I am.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. Well, I think that's all I got, because it's really hard to continue speculating the DCEU because we just don't know what they're gonna do. But I like the track that they're on. I feel like the quality of movies is getting better. I mean, do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, there was a few DCEUs where we were just like, please, pull us from the depths. And then as soon as Wonder Woman hit, it seems like from then on, it's been like, that was good.
Well,
that was really
Justice
good.
League
that
was
was great.
Yeah, but after Justice League, it really started.
That was already preset. That was already going to happen. That was a speed bump that we already saw, 100 miles out. We're like, that's going to hurt when we get there.
Let's wince and get ready. Okay, we passed it. Moving on. Well, I got hope for the DCEU. It looks like it's got kind of a good direction. I do hope we get another Justice League one of these days, but honestly, the brand is kind of injured. We have no Ben Affleck. Henry Cavill, that's up in the air. What's going to happen there? So, like, I want another Justice League, but I want the same cast, but I can wait. I'm in no hurry for it.
I'm with you on that.
All right, Cody, one more time. Where can we find you?
You guys can find me by searching my name, Cody Leach. You can do youtube.com/Cody Leach channel, or I'm sure Durbin will have a link down in the video description as well. So you can do any of those three and you'll find my channel. Come on over, pick a video that sounds interesting to you. If you like it, like and share it. Hit that subscribe button and prepare for more.
So be sure to check out Cody Leach's channel and hit that subscribe button. He has an epic channel. Definitely check that out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button here as well, and hit the bell by that subscribe button so you're notified for our next State of the DCU, or my next movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. This is Cody. Thanks for checking out Durbania.